What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Primetime Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Joey Mailari, and hope that each and every one of you had a great Memorial Day weekend. To start off, thank you to all of those who have fought in the military and for those who have lost their lives in battle for this country. Thank you so much. Truly appreciate it. Thank you for all your service. Tonight, I want to do a full episode about the Red Sox recent struggles against the Orioles, the Celtics beating the Heat in 7, Northeastern Baseball's performance in the CAA tournament, the NCAA college baseball bracket, which starts on Friday, and Team USA's loss to Czechia in the bronze medal game of the IIHF World Hockey Championship. But I didn't get enough time before Game 1 of the Orioles-Avalanche game to do so. So I'm just going to do an Eastern and Western Conference NHL preview special tonight, and we'll come back with another episode tomorrow to break down all of the sports headlines I mentioned above. To start things off, the NHL Playoffs has been really exciting to watch. I've been really locked in. Last Tuesday, I recorded my first episode of this podcast. And Carolina was up 2-1 in the series over the Rangers. Edmonton was up 2-1 on Calgary, and the Avalanche were up 3-1 on the Blues. And Tampa Bay had already swept Florida 4-0. I predicted Edmonton would win in 6. They ended up winning in 5. I predicted the Rangers would win in 7, which they indeed did, and I had Colorado winning in 6. All three of those, I had the correct winners. I just messed up one game I missed in the Edmonton game. I had Edmonton winning in 6. They ended up winning in 5. I had the Rangers winning in 7, Colorado winning in 6. And I also had Tampa Bay winning. I would have had Tampa Bay winning in 6. Obviously, they swept Florida, but I'll still take getting 4 out of 4 series winners correct. I was just a game off, as I said, in the Edmonton-Calgary series and 2 games off in the Tampa Bay-Florida series. But all in all, 4 out of 4 winners is a great second round of the NHL playoffs for predictions-wise for me. I've definitely gotten more invested in the NHL playoffs this year, more than any other season, probably because of me drilling 2 of those picks from last week and getting all 4 series winners correct. Maybe get locked in more than ever, but I'm definitely excited for the Eastern and Western Conference Finals matchups to begin. Right now, we are minutes away from the puck drop in the Colorado Edmonton game, which a puck will drop in a few minutes, so definitely excited to see how that series ends up. So just to preview that series, Edmonton and Colorado. My prediction right now, I have Edmonton winning in 6 over Colorado. Obviously, it's tough to beat Colorado. Colorado's a really good team. The Avalanche coming in 119 points in the regular season, second to the NHL to Florida. The Avalanche, a very tough team to beat, too, on the road. On the road, they are 5-0. So even though when they come into your home rink, they still win games 5-0 on the road in the postseason. They're also 8-2 in the playoffs. Very good team, very well-rested team as well. Obviously had a 6-game series against the Blues, but got good rest after the first round series. So we'll see how it goes head-to-head on the year. Edmonton won the third game 6-5. The first 2 games went to Colorado. Colorado's 2-1 on the season against Edmonton. Colorado won the first game on March 21st, 3-2 in overtime. Colorado won the second game on April 9th, 2-1 in a shootout over Edmonton. And then Game 3 was April 22nd, so a little bit over a month ago now. Edmonton won 6-5. So in all 3 of those games, 1-goal games right down to the last second. 2 of those games that Edmonton lost were both in overtime and a shootout. Then obviously Edmonton won 6-5 in regulation on April 22nd. So they're a very good team. Both are very good teams. Very close games. Edmonton was right there on both of their losses. This would be a very good, intense, and hard-fought series. I think Edmonton is the better team. It may sound like a hot take, but not many people had Edmonton beating Calgary in 6 games like I did. Obviously, they won in 5 games, but Edmonton winning in 6 games is a hot take to many, too, and look what happened. They ended up winning in 5, so anything's possible for sure. For some statistics going into it, the Avalanche have averaged 4.3 goals per game in the playoffs and have only allowed 2.7 goals per game. The Oilers have averaged 4.33 goals per game in the playoffs and have allowed 3.08 goals per game. They're both the 2 highest scoring teams in the NHL playoffs this year. So I'm sure a lot of these games will be a lot of 4-3 games, 5-4 games, 4-3, 3-2 games. I'm sure they'll be high scoring, all of them. So that's definitely exciting, especially when your team's not in it. If you can just watch a hockey game, especially playoff hockey, high scoring games, those are the most intense and electric games. So I'm sure they'll have a lot of viewers. A lot of people will be locked into those games. Anyways, so I want to highlight some players. Connor McDavid, the best player in the NHL, has had a point in 11 out of 12 playoffs games this year. He's had 10 multi-point games, which is really impressive. the total that he has in the playoffs this year: 7 goals, 19 assists for 26 points. Leon Draisaitl, another great player on the Oilers, has scored a point in 11 out of 12 games this playoff run for Edmonton. He has 7 goals and 19 assists, 26 points total, so he matches Connor McDavid's stat lines so far in the 2022 NHL playoffs. He has 11 points. He had 11 points in his last 3 games. All 11 points were assists. He has 17 points in the last 5 games and has had at least 3 points in 5 straight games, which is really impressive. That's the thing about Edmonton. They can score a lot of goals. Obviously, Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid, 2 of the highest scoring players in the NHL, so obviously going to score a lot of goals. Obviously, a lot of games are going to be intense. But I feel like just both of those guys being on the same team, it definitely makes things interesting to see how Colorado can manage and how they can try to contain them. I know you can't really stop 2 players like that, like Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. Your best attempt is really just to try to contain them. Mike Smith, the Edmonton Oilers goalie, was stellar in the net for Edmonton in the playoffs. 411 saves and 441 shots faced, in the 92.7 save percentage to go along with that. He said on ESPN after Edmonton won Game 5 to win the series against Calgary, they won that game at OT, that he tries to take the game in series in general in increments. 5-minute increments is what he said he takes every single game and every single series by, and I really do like that line. It just shows you can really chip away, take every single play, 1 play at a time, 1 second at a time, and obviously it's worked for Edmonton now that they're in the Western Conference Finals. Game 5 was a thriller between Edmonton and Calgary. There were 7 goals scored in the second period. There were 4 goals in a 1 minute and 11 second stretch. And then the third period, offense just went extinct. 0 goals in the third period for either team. And then it went to overtime. Obviously, Connor McDavid scored the game-winning goal in the slot. Great shot. Had a great apple from Leon Draisaitl, fitting into the series with them winning in 5 games. Obviously, Edmonton going in were big underdogs to Calgary. But hey, they got the series done. 5 games, I had them winning at 6. But I'm definitely rooting for Edmonton to win it all. I'll give my Stanley Cup predictions a little bit later on in this episode, so you'll hear what I think in a few. Just one player I want to highlight on the Flames. Johnny Gaudreau. Had a great season for Calgary this year, 40 goals, 75 assists, 115 points, former BC Eagle legend. He did only score 1 goal on Mike Smith, the Edmonton Oilers goalie, so it just shows how good of a series he had. He did have 5 assists, though. Gaudreau did have 5 assists to go along with that 1 goal, so 6 points in 5 games. Still a very good series for him, but he only did score 1 goal, so just shows how good of a series Mike Smith had against Calgary and was able to lock them out and shut them down. So for the Avalanche, Mikko Rantanen, the right winger on the Avalanche, had a great season. 36 goals, 56 assists, 92 points. He did only have 1 goal in the playoffs, though, so far. He does have 10 assists, though, so 11 points, still a solid playoff run for him. You have to think he wakes up and scores in this series a couple times for Colorado. They definitely need it. Superstar forward Nathan MacKinnon had 32 goals, 56 assists, 88 total points in the regular season. He did have a hat trick in the Game 5 loss against the Blues, added an assist as well. He had a filthy goal that didn't get as much hype as it should have since they lost that game to the Blues. So when you lose, obviously, you're not going to get as much hype as you should. But he had a great goal in that game. He had 2 goals in the first period of that game, so he started very hot, added his 3rd goal. That was the one for the hat trick. That elite goal was unreal. This playoff run for the Avalanche, he has 8 goals and 5 assists, 13 points total. So he's had a great run. I'm definitely excited to see how he plays in this series against Edmonton. Even though I want Edmonton to win, I think if Nathan MacKinnon has a great series, it definitely gives the Avalanche a really good chance to be right there till the end. I do think Edmonton wins in 6, though, as I said. But I think MacKinnon is a huge difference maker, obviously. Nazem Kadri, 28 goals, 59 assists, 87 points in the regular season. The Avalanche center had a hat trick in Game 4, the Game 4 win over the Blues in St. Louis. He had an assist in that game as well, so 4 total points. The Avalanche have multiple guys that can give you 3 goals in a game, as you've seen with MacKinnon, obviously Kadri. Very dangerous team, very dangerous offense. So as I said, it'll be high scoring. Former UMass Minuteman defenseman, Cale Makar, great offensive defenseman, had 28 goals, 58 assists, and 86 points, in the regular season. 3 goals and 7 assists in the National Series in the first round, 3 3-point games in that series. Then went a little cold in the St. Louis series, was a little quiet, only 3 assists, no goals in the 6 games played against St. Louis. Still had 19 shots on goal, which is impressive, but no goals. And goal scoring is a big part of his game, so that's why it's a surprise. Avalanche goalie Darcy Kemper had a decent series against the Blues, but if I was an Avalanche fan, I'd say he'd be a worry to me. He was saved one play by former Northeastern University defenseman Josh Manson. I'm a big fan of him. In Game 6, it was a one-goal game against the Blues. They were trailing the Avalanche. The Avalanche was trailing the Blues by 1. And Kemper was out of the net, sprawled on his stomach, and Manson made a great play in front of the net, had a fantastic save. Kemper's had a 90.4 save percentage in the playoffs, 89.2% save percentage in the St. Louis series. St. Louis does have a great offense, though, so I can't be too critical of them. They were third in the NHL with 3.77 goals per game on average in the regular season, so obviously a very high-scoring team. I see the Oilers scoring 2 to 3 goals at least a game against them, so it'll be high-scoring, as I said. I mean, I probably said that now 5 times. It definitely will be. I think Colorado takes Game 1. I think Edmonton takes Game 2 and 3. I think Colorado takes Game 4, and then Edmonton wins Games 5 and 6 to close out the series and win 4-2. As I said now 10 times, it'll be a very high-scoring series since both teams are the 2 top playoff teams in scoring at 4.33 and 4.3 goals per game. An interesting stat I saw from ESPN was that McDavid, Draisaitl, and McKinnon ranked first, second, and third in the NHL, all in order in regular season points and playoff points per game over the last 5 seasons. So that's really interesting. I expect these games to be 5 to 6 plus goals per game. It'll be exciting hockey. This is the first time the Oilers and the Avalanche have met in the playoffs since 1998. This is the first time the Avalanche have been in the Western Conference Finals since 2002. They have won 2 Stanley Cup Finals in the franchise's history. They lost in the Western Conference semifinals 3 straight seasons. Finally got over the hump this year, got it done, made the Western Conference Finals. So obviously they made some progress. The Oilers, this is their first time in the Western Conference Finals since 2006. The last time they were in it was when they lost the Hurricanes in the Stanley Cup Final. They have won 5 Stanley Cup Finals in the franchise's history, all spanning from 1984 to 1990. A very good era for them, obviously. Obviously, they had such great talent back then with Wayne Gretzky. Very easy to win games with him. Now, this marks also the 3rd straight year that the Oilers have made the playoffs. They've only had 4 playoff appearances since 2007, so they went on a huge drought, obviously. But 3 straight seasons for them, that's progress as well. So obviously, the Avalanche making the Western Conference Finals for the first time since 2002, the Oilers making it for the first time since 2006, and the Oilers making the playoffs for 3 straight seasons after their crazy drought. As I said, only 4 playoff appearances since 2007. And then the Avalanche making the Western Conference Finals after losing 3 straight years in the Western Conference semifinals. That's really impressive. So obviously both teams made a lot of progress over the last season to get to where they are today. So my final predictions, I said, I got the Oilers winning in 6 games. We'll see how it goes. I'll keep you guys updated. Anyways, in the Tampa Bay, the New York Rangers series, Tampa Bay Lightning, New York Rangers, I have the Lightning winning in 5 right now. I feel like it could be 6 games. Either way, if I had to pick, I'd say Tampa Bay in 5 right now, but I feel like it could go 6 games just because of how strong the New York Rangers are when they have to have their backs against the wall and they have to come back. They were very excellent in that comeback series against the Hurricanes. They were trailed 2-1 in the series at one point. Were down 3-2 after Game 5. Then they had winning Game 6 and Game 7. Game 7 being in Carolina to take the series and punch a ticket to the the Eastern Conference Finals. They did score only two goals in their first 3 games away when playing in Carolina. They ended up scoring 6 goals in Game 7, a very crucial Game 7, obviously scoring 6 goals and only scoring 2 in the first 3 games. That offense lit up, went off. The Rangers have won now 2 straight series. Coming in Game 7, they beat the Penguins in 7, and then in the first round, and then beat Carolina in the second round in 7. Maybe it could be New York Giants head coach Brian Daboll bringing them some luck because he goes to every single game, every single home game for the Rangers. The Giants always post it. The Rangers always post it. New York Giants first-round pick from this year, number 5 overall in the NFL draft. Kayvon Thibodeau has gone to some Rangers games, so maybe it's just the New York Giants bringing some luck. Hopefully it means the Giants will be winning some playoff games this year themselves. We'll see how that goes, obviously. Head-to-head on the year, the Rangers are 3-0 against the Lightning. The Rangers have averaged 3.33 goals a game to Tampa Bay's 1.33 goals a game in the 3 games they played this season. Don't forget, though, Tampa Bay is not new to winning Stanley Cup finals and making big-time plays at big-time moments. 2 straight years have hosted the Stanley Cup trophy and are looking to make it a three-peat. So even though they were down 3-0 in the head-to-head series this year with the Rangers, do not take them as an underdog, especially with how well they've been playing, which I'm going to break down in a second. So the Rangers in Game 7 won 6-2 in Carolina. They were up 3-0 after 2 periods. Had a huge goal from former Harvard defenseman Adam Fox to open the game. Then former BC and current Rangers star left wing Chris Kreider tallied on another huge goal to make it a 2-0 lead. His 7th goal of the postseason. He did add his 8th of the postseason in the 3rd to make it a 4-0 game for the Rangers. He had 52 goals in the regular season, and that was 8 goals and 3 assists in the 14 playoff games for the Rangers this year. So a very good, very great season for him. I'm very happy for him. Igor Shesterkin was unreal in Game 7 for the Rangers. 37 saves on 39 shots, 92.8 save percentage in the playoffs, and a 93.5% save percentage in the regular season for Shesterkin. So obviously him playing very well in net has helped them get to where they are today. And it's going to be an exciting series. I do think Tampa Bay wins it, but I think it'll be exciting. I think Tampa Bay wins in 5 games, but it could be 6, as I said, just because of how resilient the Rangers are. If Shesterkin plays as well as he has too, I mean, it could go 6 games for sure. Who knows? The Rangers could surprise people too. Tampa Bay did dominate the number 1 team there in the regular season. Number 1 regular season team, that is the Florida Panthers, swept them 4-0. Tampa Bay, they were underdogs going into the series, but everyone knows they always come up big, and people can't forget that they always, make really big playoff runs, play very well when they need to. Nikita Kucherov, Lightning star forward, has 15 points, 4 goals to go along with 11 assists in 11 playoff games this year. Scoring machine right winger. He had 25 goals and 44 assists in 47 regular season games this season. Vasilevsky, the goalie for Tampa Bay, 93.2% save percentage in the playoffs to go along with a 98.1% save percentage against Florida. He only allowed 3 goals in 157 shots faced in that series against Florida. Andrei Vasilevsky, he is one of the best goalies in the game, obviously, but that series against Florida, shutting down the number 1 scoring team in the NHL from regular season. They averaged 4.1 goals per game, 4.11 goals per game. The Florida Panthers averaged in the regular season, had 912 points as a team, which is 55 more than any other team in the NHL. The Blues were second. And going into that series, obviously everyone saw Florida being such a high-scoring team. But Vasilevsky shut them down, only allowed 3 goals, I said, 157 shots faced, 98.1% save percentage. I see him shutting down the Rangers as well. That's why I think they can win in 5 games, the Lightning. I think they can win in 5, maybe 6. Steven Stamkos, another perennial player on the Lightning. His whole career, he's been great. 8 points in the playoffs this year. He had 4 in the sweep of the Panthers. The center had 2 goals in Game 3 against the Panthers, always makes big plays, always is best in the brightest moments, and he's a big reason they've won 2 straight Stanley Cup finals. Defenseman Victor Hedman had 2 goals and 8 assists so far in the playoffs. Had the best production, the best season of his career. 13 years he's played in the NHL, all with the Lightning. He had his best production this season, 20 goals, 60 assists for a total of 85 points. Had his best season in the NHL in 13 years he's played straight with the Lightning, which is really impressive. All 13 years of his career with the Lightning, and just finally had his best season, 85 points. So it just shows he's getting better. Anyways, for the Rangers, the Rangers center, Mika Zibanejad, had 29 goals, 52 assists in the regular season. He has 7 goals and 12 assists to go along with a total of 19 points in 14 playoff games this year. He had 3 huge assists in Game 7 versus Carolina to push the Rangers over the top, obviously in Game 7, a huge win. Artemi Panarin, 4 goals in the playoffs, very good player. I'm sure he'll be a key part of the Rangers' success if they were to win some big games against the Lightning. And then just one last player I want to highlight, former Bruin, or 2 more players I want to highlight, but former Bruin, Frank Vatrano, has 3 goals this year for the Rangers in the playoffs. So if you're a Bruins fan, you could maybe root for him, since I know, obviously, the Bruins and the Lightning have a big rivalry, especially considering how competitive they are when they play each other in the playoffs. And then one last player in the Rangers Andrew Kopp, the center, has 6 goals and 6 assists so far in the playoffs. So all these guys I've named just proves that the Rangers can score goals. They're averaging 3.42 goals per game in the playoffs. Very resilient team. They've won 2 straight Game 7s. They sound like a team that I would like, considering I like the Clippers and, they're dogs. They play very hard. When their back's against the wall, that's when they play their best, and everyone goes all out. 2 straight series winning in Game 7 for the Rangers. Very impressive. But I have to take the Lightning. They play very hard, though, as I said. When they were trailing 3-1 in the first round against the Penguins, they didn't shy away from the big moment. They battled back 1 game at a time to win 3 straight. Then in the second round, after Game 3, they were trailing 2-1 to Carolina. After Game 5, we're trailing 3-2 to Carolina and won that series in 7. I see this being the Lightning winning in 5 or 6 games. My final prediction, Lightning in 5. But I think the Rangers could definitely win another game and surprise because of how hard they play. But the Lightning are just so hot right now. And the Rangers, this is their first time back in the Eastern Conference Finals since 2015. They actually conveniently lost that series to Tampa Bay, so this maybe could be a payback series for them. Tampa Bay has won 2 straight Stanley Cup Finals and went to the Eastern Conference Finals 6 of the last 8 years. Such a big dynasty and such a great team, obviously. They've drafted a lot of these guys, put this team together, and they're just winning games in the biggest moments. So right now, as I said, I have Tampa Bay winning in 5 games in this series. And my finals prediction right now, Stanley Cup Finals, I'm taking Tampa Bay over Edmonton in 6 games. Lock that in. We'll see how it works out. But, hey, I went 4-4 in series winners for the second round. I had 2 series drilled games-wise who was going to win the series outcome after Game 3 and 4. I mentioned earlier in the podcast, what games it was. But after Games 3 or Game 4 of the second round, I made some predictions in my first episode, and 4 of them were right series-wise, who was going to win the series, and then 2 of them, of those 4, I drilled the exact games they were going to win in. So really excited to see how this NHL Eastern and Western Conference Finals play out. I'm excited to see how the Oilers play. I think that's been the biggest surprise, how well they've been playing in the playoffs. Obviously, had a huge playoff drought for years, and now 3 straight years making the playoffs. This could be the year they finally put it all together and win their first Stanley Cup Finals since 1990. They haven't won a Stanley Cup Finals since 1990, I believe. So this would be great for them, obviously, to come out, win a Stanley Cup final. Obviously, they have Leon Draisaitl, Connor McDavid, 2 of the best players in the game. I'm sure the NHL would make a lot of money off merch if the Oilers were to win, just because they haven't won since 1990. But anyways, that's my closing. That's everything I want to talk about in this episode. Thank you guys so much for listening. I'm going to come out with an episode tomorrow. I'll be uploading it to talk about the Red Sox, talk about the Celtics in Game 7 against the Heat and how that went down, and then give my predictions for the Celtics-Warriors NBA Finals matchup. I'll talk about the World Hockey Tournament. The Team USA lost in the bronze medal game to Czechia. And then I'm also going to talk about college baseball, Northeastern, how they performed in the CAA tournament, and then also give my NCAA baseball tournament predictions. Thank you guys so much for listening. I really appreciate it. Hope you guys have a great night. Looking forward to be back on again tomorrow night. Thank you guys. I appreciate it.